Hi everyone and welcome back. Thank you so much for coming on to YouTube and checking out this full moon in Pisces transit video, which we will indeed be having on September 20th, 2021. Welcome back everyone. I am very excited to have a nice, tranquil, and rejuvenating time as we talk about one of the most rejuvenating moon cycles of this year. And yes, indeed, the rare moon cycles are continuing. We have some really wild astrology transits cropping up all in the sky alongside this full moon in Pisces. So I'm going to be talking about the intuitive messages of just the full moon in Pisces, and then later in the video I'll be talking about the surrounding astrology and what that means for navigating in a more holistic way. First off, thank you so much again to Keen for sponsoring this video. With Keen, you can find an advisor, and for only $1.99 for the first 10 minutes, you can have a session and talk about any topic that you like with an advisor of your choice. Okay, so linked below in the description box and as a pinned comment, I have a link that you can use to get this deal for Keen. And I really appreciate anyone who has the opportunity to do that because not only is the service really fun, but also it helps to support this channel. And as I'm not doing private sessions myself right now, I am on a hiatus from that. It's a way to, yes, get a session with mediums, astrologers, tarot readers, whatever type of service you're looking for. And also, yes, a way to support this channel, both at the same time. So definitely check that out if you get the chance. Again, that's linked below as the top link in the description box and in the pinned comment below too. So yes, thank you to Keen for sponsoring this video. Okay, everyone, let's get into the intuitive messages of full moon in Pisces. So, September 20th brings with it a very strong exit point for a lot of people. If you didn't get a chance yet to watch the equinox video, I have more information on the equinox that is happening, of course, in tandem with this full moon in Pisces. The full moon in Pisces every year, of course, is an equinox point. So it really makes a lot of sense because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, meaning that it is the ultimate ending sign. And this particular equinox is a mirror of that as well. It's an echo of an ending. So for everyone, there's going to be some very resonant ending point. And I think that this particular full moon in Pisces, the way that I feel it is like such a nurturing yet challenging release point. So at this point in time with this full moon, during, 5 days before, 5 days after September 20th, it's really important to know just plain what is not a part of our lives anymore, to know what we're not willing to sacrifice for a certain goal, to know what our moral compass is evolving, okay? As this feels particularly important to sit with during this full moon. I also feel that this full moon in Pisces is preparing us to embark on that really greater point, okay? And it's very humbly asking, can we commit in a stronger way? Can we commit in some ways less? Where can we pull back on commitments and where can we then redistribute those two? So I'm feeling for a lot of people that actually we need to commit less time to something, or we need to have as much flexibility as we can, even if it perhaps comes at a higher cost, to move and have mobility in our lives. The mutable sign of Pisces, ruled by Neptune, deals with the most vast form of fluidity. So it's not recommended at this time of the year to really do super long-term commitments unless you've been planning them for a long time. So no impulse long-term commitments, right? Also, though, it does suggest that the appropriate long-term commitments may start to coalesce now. So you can start to see that further down the line, moving forward, there's going to be very likely the right long-term commitments. So the ability to feel our soul trajectory is at the strongest point at this time of the year, September 20th and surrounding time period. The ability to feel what we actually want out of life, why we are where we are, how our momentums, desires, and impetus are combining together to create a larger scale sentience of ourselves in comparison to the world that we are traversing, and how we want to pioneer further into that. After this, of course, will come Aries, right? The moon will go from Pisces to Aries. And always at this time of the year, that's a lot of what equinoxes are about, right? Is a time period from Pisces to Aries in some way. Of course, the March equinox being when the sun is going from Pisces to Aries, and then the September equinox being when the moon is going from Pisces to Aries. So death and rebirth, right? Endings, beginnings. And I feel that many people are vastly afraid of what they are committed to, yet at the same time knowing how strong and poignant it is to their larger trajectory. And I feel one of the most important things for this moon, as we're kind of sitting here and debating, many people debating at an interior level what it's worth to commit to this job, to commit to this relationship, to commit to these contractual obligations for some people. I think that we have to see ourselves beyond these things, beyond the amount of money, beyond worldly considerations, because the full moon in Pisces indicates that we have to some degree transcended these things emotionally. So I think that the biggest challenge and biggest area for reward with this full moon deals a lot with being able to know that despite the amount of money, despite the, societal status, despite the way that certain goals are coming together, we're going to be good, okay? Because we have pursued some degree of self-acceptance that transcends these things. However, I'm feeling a little bit of an energetic knot here, where many of our goals, many of our dreams have become not just a job, or not just a money-oriented thing, or not just even a societal status thing, but actually, I just kind of said it, the goals have become more than goals. They've become like dreams, and that's where we get into this Pisces territory too. So many of us, it also feels, again, just kind of feeling these intuitive messages, stream of consciousness. Many of us are not able to discern between a dream and a goal, between a kind of more secular consideration and a spiritual consideration. To me, these two things feel to be merging, and I think that in a way this is a dangerous thing for some people, but for other people, yes, it is such a large degree of, like generational relevance, lifeline relevance, that their new goals, their new visions are growing to encompass. But at the same time, if these things don't pan out, or if there are roadblocks, or if things out of our control come in and eclipse any of these things, I feel that this is a very worrisome aspect of the way the current momentum is moving at an inevitable way. So not just the choices that we're making now, but the previous choices that have generated a certain momentum. I feel that it's straight lining directly towards this kind of pivotal crux point where it's like, could we actually release what we're trying to take on right now? Would we let it go if there were certain like threats or certain things that made continuing on worrisome, or would we keep moving and hope for the best? I think that there can be it's grasping is not really the right idea, but it feels that many of us are really attaching some of our identities to what we're doing with ourselves, and that's not odd. I mean, that is human nature to some degree. But I think that a bit of separation might be really helpful for a lot of people between like the, career goal and then the sense of identity. And of course, these things will continue to have impacts on each other. But I think that a lot of people are getting dangerously combinative in the way that they consider these things, to the degree that like new class systems could start to really, in a difficult way, emerge like they never have before. So I think that it's really good to start to maybe have a more eager anticipation of our growth, I suppose, individually, aside from how we're growing in correlation to material goals, okay? So that's definitely one strong intuitive message that was coming up with this moon. Further into it, I was definitely feeling a need to look at excess, okay? To me, the Pisces archetype right now is dealing a lot with what we feel is necessary to have in our space. Pisces a lot deals with space and the way that space is filled. The Pisces-Virgo axis creates this energy where Virgo manages how things fill the space, but Pisces rules over the space itself. And this full moon, I think, is going to give us a greater emotional connection to how we are filling space and to how we are opening up within the space and relating to it. I would definitely pay attention to, I don't know, disdaining your space. So the house that you live in or the space that you're in, does it feel nervous? Does it feel erratic? Is there an ability to have a nicer sort of surrounding? Is there an ability to create a stronger, more healthy emotional connection to your space? I think that this full moon in Pisces in September is going to really help us to enjoy our space in a new way. So it's a perfect time to move for people. It's also a perfect window of opportunity just to transform the way that you inhabit. So inhabiting a space, inhabiting even a routine or a certain momentum or a certain goal. It's all kind of filling in a space, Sun in Virgo, Moon in Pisces. And this year, I just think that it's really showing us exactly what we want. And as it shows us what we want, we start to also see the difference between what we currently have versus that. So I'm feeling that deeply for this full moon in Pisces, that many people at this point in time know exactly, even realistically, where they want to be or how they want to get there, but then they have to deal with the contrast of where they currently are in comparison. And there's kind of this wavering energy that I'm feeling as people are stepping in to exactly what they want or their exact dream path, but they don't really feel like they can stay, and they also maybe have to move back to the previous place and transfer certain things into this new dream space. So there's a wavering between this dream space and the previous, and I'm hoping that by Libra and Scorpio season, for sure, that we can really get ourselves into the dream space and start to make it what we want it to be. So here's what I'm saying, you guys, and I think that this is really important. Can we start to update our lives? Can we start to update our dreams, our visions, and our creations? Can we start to trust our vision? Certainly there are some realistic considerations, in essence, bills to pay or certain obligations to fulfill. And to me, these are also contributing to this wavering sense. Wavering is a really good word for the current energy around this moon. And it's really kind of pleading with us, I think, to just enjoy our lives a little bit more and to accept the benevolence that we've learned how to construct and maybe transfer it or transmute it into something that's more appropriate now, or to start a larger timeline that does that. But I honestly feel that many people can actually do that in a pretty strong way right now. Maybe it's not 100%, maybe it's not complete for some people, especially people who are sentimental or people who like to kind of linger, in security just for security's sake, or linger in things that work but maybe aren't perfect, though with a fear that leaving things that work, that we will introduce destabilization. I see people lingering, which is actually wavering, the lingering and then wavering back and forth between what just works and then what is really the most empowered dream space, okay? Because the Pisces archetype, again, especially connecting with the moon, connecting with the equinox, it's about dream space. So I think that one of the best ways intuitively to spend this time, really like September 18th until September 25th, is just dreaming, like, what do I want in my life? What do I want a day to feel like? What do I want to spend my time doing? Time spending with Virgo, and then dream space with Pisces, combining together. So how we spend time within our dream space, constructing it, creating it, building up towards it, and then how we also release non-contributive elements. Okay, so full moon in Pisces deals a lot with emotional release. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at non-contributive elements. What could this be? I think that that's actually a really good segue into the astrological portion of this video, and we'll probably spend quite a bit of time there because it's still pretty early. But when I'm thinking non-contributive elements, I'm seeing this Mars opposite Chiron building up, which we've talked about in the September comprehensive video. I'm seeing Mercury about to go retrograde. Okay, I'm seeing many retrogrades preparing to go direct, stationing to go direct, Jupiter, Saturn, okay? And I'm seeing these all, to some degree, all of these placements that I've just mentioned, as highlighting certain non-contributive elements. So if we go bit by bit through that, with the Mars opposite Chiron, there's probably some sort of hyper-focus on something that is actually smaller than we think it is. So mountains out of molehills, essentially, fearing that which hasn't happened, fear of the unknown. Also, a mad dash to me with Mars in Libra, opposite Chiron in Aries, a mad dash to try to fix a bunch of stuff really fast, a mad dash to execute changes, a very sort of wounded executive capacity here to a degree. Like, it's not that way for everybody, because I can see it going two ways. For some people, they can really be like healing executive or wounding executive. Chiron is the wounded healer, and it can be on either side of it. And when you put Mars opposite, it makes it really physical. Okay, so it's very like real life stuff. It's very actions taken, decisions made, and physical changes initiated. So, I think that there's a very small amount of people who can do this very tastefully, and who can just finally give themselves what they've been dreaming of through a lot of hard work, or see that sort of finish right here when the opposition comes in. But what I would beware of with it is thinking that certain things are more of a big deal than they are, or inflating the significance of certain things with Mars opposite Chiron, and then basically losing track of true importance, or losing track of true significance through that. So false inflation of significance, I love that, especially with full moon in Pisces happening. It is, of course, a moon conjunct Neptune, right? Which is really beautiful. We'll talk about it here in a second. But because of that, there's a tendency to, I want to say, indulge in illusion, or indulge in dream space. And it is actually dignified, but I want to finish talking about these non-contributive elements before we get there. With Mercury preparing to go retrograde, I'm going to make a specific video about that, so be sure you're subscribed. I think that there's going to be a communication style, or a sort of impulse aspect of this that's not giving us much. Okay, so how we have impulses, like small little things, like what you need every day, what you have to like go out for every day. This to me feels that this could totally be derailing for some people right now. I mean, we have Venus debilitated in Scorpio happening too, so there might be an addictive tendency, or again, indulgences, overeating, overstimulation, over indulging in some way, okay, might also be with this. So I would look at overspending, anything that's overdone, anything that's overcooked, okay. as of huge importance to have some type of snipping. Again, we can still, what I love about the transits is we've still got this powerful sun in Virgo, and it's at the very end of Virgo, you guys. We need to probably snip a few things off here, prune a few things off, release a few things, drop a few habits, drop a few, I don't know, but I really feel that a lot of people have been putting it off and procrastinating some of this pruning that we've been talking about for all of Virgo season. And during this full moon is probably the most potent time to do it, and to really, I don't know, it's also kind of like a last chance to relinquish certain things as well. Walking out of certain spaces, walking out of certain cycles, walking out of different needs that aren't really needs. So things, wants that we're saying are needs, or again, hyperinflated significance where it's not really there. Why is that happening? Why are we over signifying certain things? I think that it is probably kind of like a nervous habit. Okay, that's what it indicates to me, with Mercury about to go retrograde, with the sun being in Mercury, sign of Virgo, Jupiter and Saturn being retrograde. There's maybe a fear, just a general fear of insignificance, or a fear of stagnation, okay? And nonetheless, I feel that this hyperinflation of significance leads to stagnation. So it's kind of like a dreaded cycle, you know? It's like we actually know deep down where the significance is. We know it, we feel it, and it's kind of a small thing for a lot of people. Like, finally, I have a space that I can exist in comfortably, and look at how much healthier I'm about to get. But maybe I'm super hyperinflating this job that I'm working, even though I don't really care for it, and it's hyperinflated. And we're going to see this across the board. I mean, from currency to markets to ego to, I don't know, styles or trends. There's going to be a sense of hyperinflation, like overdoing it, wearing too much cologne, wearing too much of a certain fabric, like having too much in your account and like overspending or something, like having a lot, having excess, okay? Excess versus minimalism is a big thing that comes up now. And even to me, certain minimalist trends are struggling horrendously with excess in their own way. Especially, and I think I talked about this in Gemini's September reading. It was about like early retirement community, like FIRE community and stuff. And I felt that it was really actually promoting some destructive types of emotional habits. And not in every single case. You can refer to the Gemini reading if you want to hear me talk about that. I went off on a long tangent about it, and I thought it was pretty good stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong, obviously, with wanting to retire early. It's really great to have like financial mastery and all of that. Though I also felt that people were living in extreme levels of present deprivation, all to like build up some type of inflated fiat account. And it's like not real. There's something delusional about it. And also, like, if you're going to deprive yourself in the present, you cannot expect that your future is not going to experience deprivation in some way, regardless of what the numbers on the screen are. So detaching a little bit from numbers on the screen, I think, is really important with this moon, and thinking more substantively, right? Because I feel that a lot of people are so detached from substance and so detached from what's actually backing it, like what is actually behind the screen, what is actually behind the veil, you know? I think so many people are happy to not know, okay? So I'm talking like anything from social media to, I don't know, entities, like business entities, like there's so much of a sort of front-facing facade that is so different from what's actually behind it. And this deals obviously with the Pisces archetype. So we've got Moon conjunct Neptune at this equinox point, right? Things are not what they appear. There's something, you know, symbolic, to say the least, within the energy. And I think that people who start thriving right here and right now start to rely less maybe on deprivation as a present construct to have more in the future. Of course, we don't want to borrow from our future. We don't want to live outside of our means and create constant difficulty for ourselves through that and create future difficulty. But if you are in a boat, as I've kind of been in this way for like the last 5 years, I've been super, frugal and super, I've tried to think along these lines of like fire community, and I've not been super into it, but I've always been kind of interested. But I just got a really strong download recently that it has to be done, like most things, with moderation to some degree, because we cannot expect to deprive ourselves now and have more later. It just doesn't work that way. We are always setting patterns. We are always setting momentum. And if we set deprivation as a pattern, it's not going to easily just go away because we reach a certain age or because we reach a certain career status or something. You can be very wealthy and live in an impoverished way. You can be what some people might say really impoverished and live quite wealthy. Okay, I think because we had that previous triple malefic conjunction in Capricorn over 2020, people got way too tied into themes of money, themes of like retirement, themes of status, themes of building something great for the future, but suffering now to have it. It's very Saturnian, right? Capricorn. And we're not in that anymore. And in fact, Aquarius is very resentful of this type of thing. So honestly, a lot of these constructs that we might have been building in 2020, a lot of these, money constructs, security constructs, anything that dealt with deprivation in the moment to have more later, it'll probably just be completely devalued by this Aquarian energy anyway. So why not kind of give yourself a more healthy experience now? And and I would say, to be to some degree connected to where we've been before, there's a really integrative way in which we can have exactly what we need now and still contribute to better things in the future. I think balance is the key word. We're about to move into Libra season at the equinox point here. This moon transitions us into Libra season, and it is a bit of a demanding Libra time. I am really seeing Libra actually exert its Saturn quality. Again, Saturn is exalted in Libra. And I'm seeing that there is just a result here in Libra season that's going to start coming in. And any type of imbalanced hyperdrive, okay, push hard, extreme type of wild burning energy is not going to feel great for the rest of this year, okay? And with the eclipses coming at the end of the year, it's very crazy to see how different things could be once we get into the calendar new year. And what I think is most important for this full moon, bringing it back to the scope of just this full moon, is to think about what is beneath all of this, beneath all of these external pursuits, beneath all of these myriad physical directions. What is beneath it? So how do we feel emotionally? How do we feel our body is functioning? How do we feel if we didn't have these things? If this wasn't it? I'm sensing like people's identities getting so attached to certain external pursuits that they don't really perceive themselves without them. And that's something to easily heal actually with this full moon, where you can totally see who you are beneath your job, beneath or without any of this stuff. I think it's a good exercise right now to think about, okay, without this, without that, without all of this, what would I enjoy about my day, and how would I maybe experience a lot more relief than I could understand right now, and how can I keep making the progress that I've created for myself while letting it adapt to the changes in collective momentum, while also not depriving myself right now of true significance, not false inflated significance, and wrapping all of that together. What contributes to that and what doesn't? And it's crazy to see that actually the what doesn't side might be where like 80% of our focus is. And that's the magic of a full moon in Pisces in equinox, right? September equinox, is we get that holistic full picture, full view. And with that holistic full picture view, some people can feel fear, some people can feel relief. But I think that neither of those are really the key with this, because of the other transits happening in the sky, because of the way it's all shaping up. To me, I think that the better key with this holistic view is basically to start condensing our energy output into very necessary steps, okay? Into very necessary chains of events that aren't just for something like a monetary gain or something like a myopic progress. But we need to really start condensing it into paths that we stand by at a soul level, perhaps, with this Pisces energy. Again, the moon conjunct Neptune is beautiful. It's a very lucky, benevolent, benefic transit when full moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces. This is where you see like how beautiful life can be, okay? This is where you see how resonant certain experiences are. And if you're not having those experiences, you know what they are. It's like you just kind of know during this time, like September 20th, moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces, full moon, you just know this is what experience would resonate with me now, with where I'm at. These are the types of people who I want in my life. These are the types of days that harmonize with my energetic output. And it's very easy. This is actually where I like the Mars opposite Chiron, to get it and do it and just have that. So it's not really like I'm just dreaming of what I want in my life, and it's not at all what I have. It's grass is green on the other side. It's opposite. It has no correlation to where I'm at, but I'm dreaming of it because it's just like a contrasting scenario. With the Mars opposite Chiron happening at the same time as the Neptune conjunct moon, and the sun also approaching Mars, that sun-Mars conjunction happening with the moon Neptune, I find that really beautiful. It's a great sacred balance between masculine and feminine. It's a great sacred balance between yin and yang. I think this is a magical opposition. I've actually just noticed it. Sun conjunct Mars opposite moon conjunct Neptune. That is a sacred type of alignment. So something to some degree on September 20th is going to be perfect. Okay, something is going to fall into balance, new hormonal balance, Venus in Scorpio kind of contradicts that, but I think it's more than like hormones. It's like, it's more energetic. It's like having experiences every day that remind you of why you're here, that remind you of your purpose, that remind you and contribute in such a strong, empowering way to your purpose. And what's difficult, the only difficult thing is like, what if we can't get off the old bandwagon and commit to ourselves these new purposes? A lot of us feel scared, like, how am I going to afford it? How am I going to do it? How am I going to, step up to the plate and allow myself to experience this kind of balance and transfer what needs to be moved into place to facilitate this? It's scary for some people, but the exact path seems to be clearly manifesting for a lot of people. And it's not just the path, it's not just what's outside, it's also what's inside. It's the impetus, it's the pure intention, it's the solar plexus level desire that's not unrealistic, that's not a coping mechanism, that's not vapid or myopic, but is truly, to some degree, soul dictated and soul aligned. So what I feel, you guys, at this equinox point, I'm getting chills. It's an incredible astrological time. You might just have the perfect space, dream space, series of events to completely resonate with yourself, heal from previous traumas, heal these old scars, heal these old wounds, Mars Chiron, create new paths, step into balance, sacred masculine feminine combination, Moon Neptune, Mars Sun opposition, and start to basically stop hitting your head up against a brick wall. We got all this other astrology, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Venus, and Mercury, all not doing too well right now. But perhaps serving as just a solid kind of block of like, okay, this is what's been created, this is what some of these long-term results are, and we see them, they're not disputable, they're not confusing, they just are what they are. Certain experiences, certain results are they're just there, they are what they are. They're not tricky, they're not overly arbitrary, they're to some degree static and clear and two-dimensional. And as those things start to get together as well, we basically can wield that a lot better and start to know what we do and don't want of it and within it. So I would also interpret that as knowing exactly what you want, but still dealing perhaps with a lot of flotsam and jetsam from the past, okay? And maybe we can't just relinquish that yet. Maybe some of that's still got to be carried. It's like kind of a little bit of a heavy weight. Maybe we've overpacked. Maybe we've over contributed to certain things before that we now still have to carry. But the path is there, and I feel that many of us just have to do it as almost something to prove to ourselves. And with time, especially as we get into like mid-October and late October, a lot of that starts to really dissipate and clear up and get better. So one way or another, in conclusion for this video, full moon in Pisces, along with surrounding astrology, I feel this to be one of the most benevolent times, really. This balance that comes in here, this sigh of relief, this final kind of experience. It's something about this experience, even if it's a new one, is final to some degree. And it bridges us to the path that we've really been creating for a long time. And that could take a little bit of time, that could take a little bit of work, that could take a little bit of effort with this level of balance, sort of rescaping the geometry, I would say, of previous creations, of previous outputs, and either allowing them to be relevant now or just letting them be and kind of moving on, okay? One way or another, take this time. I would definitely recommend to just sit in comfort and to dream a bit and to dream about how things could go from here. And gratitude, okay? I had someone that I really respect tell me a little bit about gratitude recently and about how that could be the answer to a lot of things that we might not feel are relevant in our life anymore, but we still feel that we have to upkeep them. To some degree, they are bridging us to where we need to be, regardless of how it does that. But try to find gratitude for these new spaces that are coming in, these new, whether they're new locations, new living arrangements, new relationships, new goals, whatever. Try to understand that even if you really disdain your current output, that it has somehow created this. And I don't feel that any type of creation at this point in time is totally wrong for anybody. So it also makes me think that where we've been is not wrong either. But it is, though, heavy to me, and it's maybe overdone or over... Like what it consists of is very hard for a lot of people to carry. So there's work to do there, and I don't really have the answer yet for how we maybe transmute some of these heavy things into lighter things. I think that maybe some of us just have a weight to carry right now, and it makes us stronger, and that somehow in the future qualifies us for an entirely higher, or higher isn't really the right word. It's more like an entirely more magnificent experience than we've even dreamed of, just because of the strength that we forge now. So enjoy that, everyone. Enjoy the Neptunian Pisces dreaming experience that always comes up at this time of the year, and try to offset it with some very deliberate Virgo organizational changes or capacity. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Definitely check the description box below. Okay, guys, if you can please check out the link in the description box and in the pinned comment. Keen sponsored this video, and they also sponsored another video this month, and I would love it if you guys would try their service. If you click on the link and you go, and if you have, once you have a reading with one of their specialists or a session with one of their specialists, you can also support this channel at the same time, because I'm not doing private readings right now, and I think that they have such a good selection of all kinds of different services, and not only do you get that session for yourself, but you also are supporting this channel. So I would really appreciate it if you guys got to check that out. It's a great way to support and also get something fun in return. So that link will be below as the first link in the description box and as a pinned comment. Thank you so much to Keen for sponsoring this video. And on that note, everyone, I will be seeing you next week at the same time, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the next live premiere. Have a wonderful week ahead and enjoy this full moon in Pisces. Much love, everyone. Talk soon. Have a great week. Bye.